Hi guys, today we're at the Midlands Model Engineering exhibition. You can see a couple of traction engines out here. Not very nice weather, it is raining as it has been most of the day. Don't know how many are going to come out. First place we're going to look is we're going to go inside, see some of the static displays and see what models they have in there. Well, then coming out here, look around the engines, and then there should be a parade of engines. Hope you enjoy this video and make sure to subscribe if you do.
In case some of the traction engines packed up early, I thought we'd have a quick look around them. Starting off with this 4-inch scale barrel, single cylinder, made by Steam Traction World. Next engine is a 6-inch scale Ruston Proctor. On a much smaller scale of about 2-inch is this single cylinder barrel agricultural engine. One of the larger engines at this show is this 6-inch scale Little Samson, just like the 4-inch scale version, just that this one's half scale. There was a couple of 4-inch Fosters at the show. As you can see, they're all single cylinder like this one. Here is then the second 4-inch Foster at the show. Some miniatures have lamps on the front or the back, but I've never seen one of these scaled down lamps hanging. Moving back then to the barrels, you have this 4-inch scale barrel, single cylinder, possibly a Steam Traction World, not sure. You can see this one has got the lamp on the back just there on the seat. An engine which you see quite often at the show is this 4-inch scale McLaren Maud. As you can see, this one is double crank compound.
Halford's ordering stuff in a tin.
Moving inside, we can see this quite nice looking hit and miss engine, and then also there was plenty of trade stands and a couple of companies. See the locomotive here, another hit and miss engine, and what looks to be a triple expansion. As well, you can see that unfinished locomotive in the background, as well as a couple of other finished ones. These all look to be in around 5-inch gauge, and you can see this traction engine here surrounded by more locomotives. Continuing with more locomotives, we've got quite a small scale there, then with the 5-inch scale behind. A couple of rolling stock as well as a running Stuart Victoria. Also on the stand was this 4-inch scale Steam Traction World barrel. And then also a couple of Stuart's vertical engines you can see here. As well as this quite neat, I believe, an electric Sentinel steam lorry. You can see the engine running here with the wheel turning in the background.
Hope you are enjoying the video so far. Still raining, one engine behind me is just blowing down all of the steam. Last year this video got 1.4 thousand views. Let's see if we can beat that with over 1,500 views on this video. And remember, if you're enjoying them, make sure to subscribe and keep watching to see some of these steamers go around outside.
Here is then a couple of locomotives in 3-inch gauge. As well as then this shows you some 3D printed steel parts, 3D printed plastic parts, and the cast parts behind. and you can see they would be used to make a locomotive, possibly like one of the ones on the screen. Here you can then see a little electric locomotive running with a unfinished locomotive in the background and a slightly more done locomotive there at the front. There is also then this really small Acklin traction engine with another locomotive chassis there unfinished. On the other side of the little line for the electric locomotive, we can see another locomotive that looks essentially done, as well as the hit and miss engine in the background and a couple more locomotives in the front. This stand was then all in 7 1/4 inch gauge. As you can see, this locomotive incomplete with the boiler on it. As well as this complete locomotive with a tender on the back. Here's the view from the footplate then. Continuing on with 7 1/4 inch gauge is this locomotive here. You can see this is one of the ones where you can actually sit inside of it, and later on in the day they had the cover off the side and you can see all of the internals. On a smaller scale there is then a couple more locomotives here, as well as some stationary engines in the back. This is one that's always quite neat to see, a little shed with lots of locomotives in it. So you have the two manners at the front. You can then see there's quite an old one there with then another chassis there on the side. I believe this whole shed is in 5-inch gauge and it quite often attends the show. Here you can see from the front, you should be able to see all the way down the shed. And there is even a couple of locomotives outside, just like the ones inside the shed. And then you can see this stand's got this really nice traction engine, doesn't look like it's been finished yet, or at least not painted, as well as a couple of locomotives. And then here you can see many locomotives of varying scales, quite big ones up top, and you can see the smaller one down here. You can see a bit of rolling stock and some locomotives displayed. These are mostly the ones that have won prizes as well. I believe the locomotive in the red London Transport is the same one that was running at the Gwynedd Railway. So I'll put a video up in the top right hand corner if you want to watch that one. Moving on to stationary engines, I believe this one was here last year, as you can see, very highly detailed, as well as the one next to it. Then we have quite a nice hit and miss engine, and one of my favourites is you don't see them very often, a little miniature scaled down Lister A, I believe. This locomotive then for sale. A couple more hit and miss engines, that one's not done, and then this hit and miss engine. As well as this could be like an original workshop engine. This stand always has quite a few engines running, as you can see, variety of hot air engines and stuff like that. Now on to Stuart Models, who have recently purchased MJ Engineering. That's why there's 2-inch scale gold medals on the stand. Then you had a couple of S50 steam plants and a Victoria there, as well as a twin Victoria with some of their other engines in the background. Here is then the vertical engine liner, starting with the smallest, the 10V, working their way up to 5A, and then you have their new major series engine, which you can see is about double the size of a 5A. Some of their smaller engines then in this cabinet, with the S50 up there, the Cirrus, the number 8 there, and a couple of their V engines. Then you have got a couple of triple expansion engines in the background, the Super 50, which is the scaled up S50, as well as one of their major beams. Here another couple of their smaller engines, the vertical ones. There's Stuart Score there. Then you have the Stuart 10H Major. This is another one of their new bigger engines there, as well as some of their other engines, including number 9, which is quite a nice engine, James Coombe, and a couple of their beams. As well, there was this LNER A4 engine, a bit like what Mallard would have been, although there's no boiler in it currently. On an older style, and also 5-inch gauge instead of the 7 1/4 that the A4 was, is this one. Again, on 5-inch gauge you have this locomotive that had been tilted up so you could see the underneath a bit better. As well, there was this unfinished traction engine project. Not 100% sure what engine it actually is, but we know it is a engine with a third shaft, so that will narrow it down a little bit. Moving back to locomotives, there was a couple of locomotives here, looking quite nice, all in a similar livery. This was then a flame liquor engine that was running. These are quite interesting engines to look at.
Missed a lot of bits off. There's no cylinder heads, no pipe work, no base, no stand. We've got wrong side screws.
Couple of other really nice looking engines here. I don't know if these are sold as castings or not, or if they're all custom made. Then we have a couple more locomotives on this stand, mostly 5-inch gauge I think. As well as then a little steam hammer and another little custom made engine.
It's currently raining outside where miniature traction engines are, although there's still a couple about. I think we're going to have a quick look at them, and then at 1 o'clock there's supposed to be a parade of them, so we'll come back to see that.
Here you can see one of the Fosters coming over to line up.
quite a few of the engines are now behind me for their whistle off, which is going to be happening in a couple of minutes, so try and film that if they do it, as it is raining so much. A couple of the engines haven't come yet, possibly not going to come as it is raining so much. It's quite bad weather. Still, they're all lined up, there's a couple of them here.
You can then see the 6-inch little Samson seems to be going to tow the little 2-inch barrel. Not sure if it can move or not, although it was actually in steam, so not sure why it's been towed fully. As well as then this 4-inch scale live steam models double crank compound barrel road locomotive. And you can see there's a bit of a parade happening as I am on the 4-inch scale McLaren road locomotive mode.
Just lucky the rain stopped in time.
You can see the road locomotive just overtaking a 4-inch scale Foster traction engine now. And then here we are just overtaking the other Foster with the other engine being towed in the background. I hope you have enjoyed this video. This is about going to be the end. On the screen in a minute there will be one episode of the barrel build. If you haven't watched that soon, then I recommend to watch that episode. As well as if you want to see me drive some traction engines, then just click on the one below, which is at the Gloucestershire Warwickshire Railway. The view under the canopy looks quite cool, almost like it's a full-size engine. So I hope you see you in the next video, and this is going to be the end of this one.
Put it in the van and that's it.